And so when Annie and I first met, just to give you a little bit of context of where we were, I had just made the decision to get divorced. I'm fucking married when we meet. And I was married for 20 years, and we did not have alignment. So I'm like a maniac about growth. I'm like all in. I think I did like 7 Tony events. That previous year was 2020. So it's like this COVID year, I didn't have to travel, so it was amazing. So I could do these events at home, right? And like UPW would come, and I'd say, hey, can you leave? Because I got shit to do. And I wasn't enrolling her on like, let's be a part of this. And so it was like this battle. So I made this decision after putting in tons of work and trying to understand relationship and understand how do I need to show up as a man. And a funny story about that, actually. So for 21 years, my wife at the time was telling me, I'm going to call her Stephanie, by the way. Stephanie was telling me that her love language, everyone knows love languages, was acts of service. And so I'm like, all right, I'm going to go do stuff around the house, and I'm going to like do the dishes and stuff like that, and like this is going to be great. And yet there was still no passion. It's like we weren't having sex. So just for context, like over 20 years, if I kept a calendar, I could probably count really quickly how many times I had sex in these 20 years. I know it was at least 3 because I've got 3 kids, okay? Right, so it wasn't much because there was no passion, because there was no alignment. We didn't know how to connect with each other, but I'm going to figure this stuff out. So here it was, 20 years of marriage, and I'm in this 90-day commitment to figure out and really shower her with love like she's never felt before. And I'm going to make this happen somehow, some way. This is going to either, I'm going to get through, I'm going to create what I'm looking for, or I know I've made a decision and I'm going to cut it off. So it was January of 2021, and my business had this little struggle where we were out of cash. And I called up this, like really out of cash. And I called a client, I'm like, hey, this is DR Horton, so this is not like a small company. I'm like, you kind of screwed me over here. Like, I need this. I'm not going to make payroll on Friday, and this is Thursday. If you don't pay us, like, I don't know what to do. So this person wrote the check. It's like, awesome. And went over, I'm like, to go pick up the check. And on the way, I saw Ethel M Chocolate Factory in Vegas. I'm going to get her some chocolates, because this is amazing. And while I'm there, I'm like, oh, fuck it. I'll just get my wife some chocolates, too. And so I deliver that, get the check. And then I bring the box of chocolates home, and I was like, hey, here's a box of chocolates, by the way. She's like, chocolates? And she was like so shocked, and she had told me that gifts were not her thing, but she had this incredible reaction. And I hadn't got her gifts in years because she said she hates gifts. Wow, right? And I believed her. Right? Oh, it was a fucking test. I was like, is he going to figure this shit out ever? And so I was like, okay, that was an interesting reaction. So we're right before Valentine's. I said, I'm going to go get a gift for her. And I'm going to get her the same gift. The very first gift I got her was a little pug puppy. And it was on Valentine's Day in 1999. And so this cute little one, but I'm going to do that again. So I called her up and I said, hey, can you meet me over at blank, blank, blank address in Las Vegas on Spring Mountain? She said, yeah, sure. And she pulls up, and there's a restaurant that's next to it. There's another little puppy store. I was like, hey, let's just go into this store and just check it out. I called ahead. And I'd actually pre-ordered this little puppy. I said, oh, look, they have a pug. Imagine that. And I said, oh, are you Mr. Ming? I said, yes, I am. So he's ready for you. So we got this little pug puppy. And she said, oh my God. She said, no, I'm holy shit. How could this possibly be that for 20 years I didn't know this? Because I wasn't listening. I wasn't connecting. I wasn't present even with her. So here I learned this great lesson, and fast forward, we end up getting divorced, right? And so I made this decision, but then I meet this wonderful woman who I connected with just instantaneously on this phone call. And it was this really interesting phone call where I wanted to get to know her. And she had been going around like connecting with all these plats, getting to know them. And so she would sit on these calls and she would just ask lots of questions. And they wouldn't ask a fucking thing about her. She gets on the call with me and she didn't learn anything about me. True?
Yeah, he was the only person that really insisted on getting to know me. And it was just a level of presence that was
yeah. Come on up, babe. So we're on this call, and it was a very shocking call. She's, just by the way, this is Miss Arizona, just so you guys know. Yes. And so we started talking about pageants and what she was seeking in this pageant life. And I'm like getting to know her. And I said, in my head, I'm thinking, oh, wow, this is an interesting woman. As she's communicating, there's a lot of significance that comes from that. And interestingly, she was trying to learn how to be feminine. So she decided she's going to compete in being feminine. Right, and so then this was probably like 2 weeks after there was a pageant winner that had jumped out of a building in New York.
Oh, wow.
And so I said, it's really interesting that you chose this because this is our first call. Remember this, because there's actually a pretty high suicide rate in this because we're pursuing this. I know, first conversation, right? Hey, it worked. You're laughing, but it worked. And it was unbelievable because I was feeling her and she was actually communicating that she was not happy with where she was in life. And she was searching for something, but I had to be present to that. I had to be completely focused on her. There could be nothing about me, no ego. And again, that's such an important skill in relationships. If you agree, say yes. Yeah. Yes. All right.